News.
Good morning. This is your Cherry Peak Ski Report for Saturday, March 12th, 2022. We have a mid-mountain base depth of 39 inches with no new snow in the past 24 hours. Roads to the mountain are bare and dry, and the skies are partly cloudy. Today's operational hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. day skiing and 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for night skiing. We'll be operating Gateway Triple Chairlift, Vista Triple Chairlift, and the Summit Lift. Come experience the beautiful views from the top of the summit. The Magic Carpet will be turning also. This will serve as tubing and the bunny. This is a big time of year. Yes, it is that time of year. It's our annual pass sale. It is underway. They start at $199. If you like to get your whole family involved, yes, $699 where they start at. Over 24 reciprocal partners. You can ski for free at many resorts. Also, all of you with an annual pass or season pass to any North American resort, come ski on us. Yes, that's ski for free. See the office for details. Go to skicpr.com or simply follow us on all social media for any further updates and details. We'll catch you at the peak.
News Talk 610 AM 102.1 FM KVNU.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
And we're back for another season of the Garden Guide with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden here on KVNU.
Another season sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
It's nice to have a little break, though. So through the winter, having a few months off, it's enjoyable.
Sit by the fire. And keep warm.
Get to have a little more restful Saturday, even though I'm usually working on Saturdays.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
Don't have to start every morning at 8:00. So
well, you're a welcome sight. When you show up in the studio, we know the winter doldrums are pretty much over.
Yes.
Officially over.
And before the show started, we were just talking about the heat wave that we're having today. So
yeah, already in the 30s. Hard to believe.
After teens for the last couple, well, not even teens, single digits for the last couple days.
Very
which
unusual for
March. Is really, really crazy. It's been hard on our facility because we've got all kinds of bare root plants coming in right now. So fruit trees are here, onions are here, potatoes will show up first of next week, asparagus will be here the first of next week, and those plants don't like those kinds of temperatures. We've had to bring them into the greenhouses and then kind of protect them a little bit just because. So it's made a lot of extra work for us to try and stay on top of it. But we're making it work. And we'll take the moisture that's coming with these storms. So
might have
that's really good.
In a couple days here. Might have another.
I think they're talking
storm.
Sunday. So tomorrow,
Yeah.
I think we're supposed to get another storm on Sunday. So that's nice. We'll get our water content of our snow back up to where it needs to be. And great thing is we had such great moisture last fall. We had that really wet October, and it hydrated the soil up. Which if you
was that monster snowstorm.
That broke all the trees. So
yeah.
that's probably a topic to talk about on the show today as well too. But it hydrated the soil up. I mean, so the soil is really moist. If you remember last spring, the soil was really dry. And so the snow that we had that melted off last year, it just was almost all absorbed by the soil because the soil was so dry.
And March 1st, the governor had a press conference or a statement about the drought, the coming drought. And I was thinking March 1st, we're talking drought. So not good.
There's a lot of storms that could hit between now and May.
True.
And a lot of times March and April is when ski resorts end up with the most quantity of snow for the entire year. So I think we've got some nice accumulation going on in the next 4 to 5 weeks. If you look at the forecast, looks pretty wet. So
good.
We'll take it. Yeah, even if we can get like close to 100% with the really wet soil conditions, with that soil really hydrated, that's going to be almost 100% runoff. So that should help fill up some of our reservoirs this year and give us enough water to do some good planting and some good growing. But
that would be nice.
Yeah. We do have a special guest on the show today. So Hank Stoofbergen from Stoofbergen Bulbs. Hank.
Good morning.
So glad you could be on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a surprise that you called me yesterday and said, hey, I'm going to be in town.
Yeah, I'm surprised you invited me right away.
Usually we're talking fall bulbs. Maybe we can talk a little spring bulbs.
Spring bulbs, like dahlias, lilies, gladiolas.
And it's always amazing to see how those bulbs react once you get those into the ground, and just the dahlias are one of my favorites. They just bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom, and
as long as you keep care of them.
Yeah, they look amazing. They look amazing. So we've got a lot to talk about on the show today. We've got a guest. If you have questions about bulbs, whether they be fall bulbs, how to care for those through the summertime after they're done blooming, how to fertilize now that they're starting to come up. I had a customer in yesterday, good friend of mine, and he was treating for deer on his tulips already. So the deer don't eat his tulips, so we could
deer off.
We could definitely discuss that as well too. But if you'd like to join us here on the Garden Guide, phone numbers are 753-5868, 753 KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. Just want to remind everyone that the Home and Garden Show is coming up the 25th and 26th. Are you going to be there, Bill?
I plan on going to that. But like I've told you before, my thumb is my wife's thumb is much greener than mine.
Yeah.
So,
and that's at the Eccles Ice Arena. It is sponsored by Anderson Seed and Garden,
right?
And we're very excited for the Home and Garden Show coming up. It should be a blast, and I believe there are very few health restrictions going on.
Finally, yeah.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Things don't change in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. Keep those variants
March
away.
March 11th, 2 years ago, it's kind of like D-Day. So,
yeah, that's right.
Or C-Day, whichever day we want to describe.
That's when it all kind of came crashing down.
That's when it all started for us. It started a little earlier in Europe, though. When did things really kind of go crazy for COVID in Europe?
I don't know,
2 years ago?
because I was in the United States.
Oh, that's right. You were traveling. You were traveling around.
It started with the Mardi Gras in the skiing areas in Austria.
In Austria, yeah.
When all the skiers came home, they did bring it in.
so interesting the last 2 years that we've had. So, but Home and Garden Show, the 25th and 26th of this month, coming up in 2 weeks. So don't forget about that. And one thing that we're going to be talking about all year is it's Anderson's 80th birthday this year. So we've been around for 80 years. Yeah, can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's great.
Radio show's been around about that long.
Yeah.
You don't look that old.
And you don't look a day over 30.
I know I'm definitely not that old, but my grandmother started the store in 1942. So right at the start of World War II, my grandmother started her business right in the same location where we're at right now. And it's our 80th anniversary. So, 80th anniversary or birthday, whichever way you want to look at it. So I think we usually advertise anniversary. But since it is our 80th birthday this year, we're going to be giving away goodie bags throughout the year. So we've got some goodie bags set up for today for anyone who wants to call in with questions or comments. We just might have a little something for you today. So, yeah, but lots happening at Anderson's. Seeds are all in. There's only a couple varieties of seeds that we don't have, and a lot of people have spring fever. We're thinking this year about posting the number of people who have spring fever in comparison to COVID cases. So we thought we had 200 cases of spring fever at Anderson's this week. So
no COVID fever, but plant fever.
Yeah, spring fever. Yep. So we got spring fever going on. So fruit trees have started to arrive. We got our first 800 fruit trees in first of this week, and we've got those ready to go. So there's a lot of different varieties to choose from. I have another 800 coming next week. So if we don't have the variety that you're looking for right now, we probably will by next next week. We're going to have a really great selection in by middle or latter part of next week. But now's a really good time to get them because all our peach trees disappear really, really fast. And so it's a great time to come in and take a look at those. Onion plants are coming in on a weekly basis. So we've got onion plants in. And like I said, potatoes are coming next week. Asparagus, we should have those maybe even ready to go this afternoon. So I'm hoping to have asparagus plants ready. It's a little early to plant, especially as wet as it is and as cold as it's been the last few days. Next week might be a little bit better for you, but great time to come in and get your seeds. And we've got a lot of people who are starting to fertilize their lawns, and it's a good time to put your humate on. If you got a little bit of snow left over and you want that snow to go away as fast as possible, the humic will melt that snow, but it also puts minerals and micronutrients and microbes and microorganisms into your soil to really make your grass take off and get going as well too. So, Hank, it looks like we're starting to get some phone calls in.
Yeah,
anything you want to talk about that's new with spring bulbs before we start answering questions? Nothing.
No,
nothing.
The sales went so great the last 2-3 years. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because people were staying home and
working
in the yard.
Doing a little bit more planting, yeah.
So sometimes we had to dig in our crop for the future. So there was no time to work on new varieties.
On new stuff, yeah. It seems like everybody was so busy that research and development have kind of fallen, not by the wayside, but just fallen back a little bit because you're just reacting to everything that's happening. You know, it's like we tried to prepare like for this cold weather that was here this week. You know, I could see in the forecast that we were going to get some really cold temperatures. And you prepare and try and make everything so it's going to work. There's just certain things you just can't prepare for. You just have to deal with them when they show up. So
yeah, I'll wait and see what's going to happen. Now for us it will be all different. All the parks will be open in Holland and Keukenhof and. For the first time in 2 years. And,
nice, yeah.
So
it's good to get back to normal. I still think there's a lot of people that are going to be spending a lot of time in their gardens still.
Yeah.
Everybody has found out that it's a great opportunity to get out of the house. It's a great way to relieve some stress. It's a great way to get your fingers dirty, and it's enjoyable. And you get an amazing harvest, whether it's flowers or vegetables that you're growing. So yeah, good time. Good time.
We have 2 callers.
We got 2 callers. Wonderful. Who's our first caller, Bill?
First up is Lori.
All right. Good morning, Lori. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hi. I'm glad you're back.
We are too. We are too. I always look forward to getting the show started for the season. So.
Yeah. I have some questions about bulbs. I have some Crown Imperials, and they're right by the house on the west side of my house. But I noticed last year they were kind of diminished, and we did separate them and, a little bit, but I'm just wondering if the water situation affected them. I tried to water them really good in the fall, but
good.
Don't know what else to do to keep them coming.
Yeah. I think in general, bulbs kind of struggled a little bit last year because we had such a dry winter, and so there wasn't good soil moisture for them, and so they kind of didn't perform as well as usual. Hank, what?
Well, Crown Imperial also blooms only for 3-4 years, and then that's it.
They kind of start to die back a little bit.
Because you have to remove the old flowers, and all the nutrition is going back in the plant.
Okay.
Okay, so remove the flowers?
Yeah. As soon as they're done blooming, you remove the flowers and all the nutrition is going back. Otherwise, all the nutrition will go to the seed boxes, and that kills the bulb.
And it pulls the strength out of the bulbs. So, and we talked about this with the amaryllis as well, too, a couple of years ago. And as soon as my flowers fade, I trim those flowers off, but leave the stem up and then let the stem kind of die back on its own. So sounds like you want to do the same thing with your Crown Imperials, Larry, is just take the flowers off but leave the stem and then let the stem.
You know what the nickname is for that place? Crying Angels.
Crying Angels?
Yeah, in Japan they plant them on the cemeteries. And if you look in the flower, you see all drips in it, and there's pure honey.
Yeah. So a lot of nectar for the hummingbirds and butterflies. Yeah. Interesting.
But then the wind shakes them, and they're crying over the dead
and
people.
then they drip the honey.
The honey drops on the ground, and then say, "Oh, they're crying over the dead people."
so interesting. I really do think that the dry conditions two falls ago through winter really kind of desiccated some flowers, bulbs, and they just did not perform as well last year as they would have. And then we had a really dry spring as well too. So March and April were really dry as well too. So I think during that bloom season, not having the moisture out there was difficult for the flowers. But we also had a really dry fall and winter leading up to that. So, yeah.
Okay, so on the bulbs, you say they only perform or bloom for 3 to 4 years.
Yes, that's correct.
Can I take the smaller bulbs and replant them, or are they old too?
Well, what I recommend is you dig them up after they die back complete, dry them in dry peat moss, and plant them again in October. That's the best.
And then fertilize them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So dig those up after they've kind of like shriveled back down. Store them in peat moss, wood shavings. Yeah, wood shavings, and then plant them back again in October.
Avoid winddraft.
Yeah. And then make sure and fertilize every time you plant those bulbs back. That's what we used to do. It's a lot of work to pull the bulbs out every year, but we would do that quite frequently, even with our tulips and daffodils, and then fertilize them when we replanted, and it just kept the bulbs a little bit healthier that way. But it is a lot of extra work. Yeah.
All righty. Well, thanks so much.
You are so welcome. And if you stop in the store today or the first part of the week, Larry, I'll have a little goodie bag for you.
Awesome.
We put some
Thank
goodie
you.
bag. It's got a whole bunch of different seeds in it, and so there's flowers and vegetables. There's probably about 12 different varieties of different things in there. So,
well, thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, and you have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Who's up next, Bill?
Next up, friend of the program, or maybe fiend, I'm not sure, but Todd.
All right.
From Logan.
Good morning, Todd. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I talked to you yesterday, and I lied. I was going to call anyway, so.
We did get a couple of your questions answered, but it seemed like you had more.
Yes, and since you guys ran me away, I wanted to ask some more this morning.
Sounds good. Yes.
Kidding.
We sick the dog catcher on you. So.
Yeah, that's okay. Just kidding. A couple questions. First of all, for you, Mark, what is the best way to prepare a raspberry bed after you take the old raspberries out that had a borer in it?
To put new ones back in there.
Right. What would be the best recipe for that?
I'm going to be doing that myself this year, and I planted some raspberries a couple of years ago, really dry, kind of depleted soil. Thought that it would work pretty well, but things just didn't work out great there. And so this fall, I put some organic matter out there. So we put some compost and some soil building conditioner and some zeolite in that area, and then worked that in. So we tilled that into the soil. And then this spring, I will probably just run the tiller through it, since I've already added organic matter to it, and possibly a little bit more zeolite. Just want to get that soil loosened up so it absorbs and holds the moisture, but it's not just so compacted down. It's a little heavier clay soil, and the raspberries don't like that. And then as I plant the raspberries, I'll make sure and get a soaker hose down there so that they can stay consistently moist. They kind of dried out a little bit, so we got to keep the moisture content up there. But I'll only water them once a week, and then transplanting, I'll use the kangaroo roots on them, and then a nice slow release fertilizer. Something like Start and Grow would be great. Even like the tomato and vegetable food from Natural Guard would be really good as well too. So we'll do that.
Okay.
And get those guys going. But definitely want to add some compost. The soil building conditioner would be amazing, and the zeolite would really, really help if your soil is compacted and heavier clay. And then get those guys planted.
It's along the east side of the fence in our backyard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't that clay.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a clay soil, but
sounds good.
Just needed to.
The raspberries like a higher organic content, and if you've had borers in the past, you could definitely treat them as early as April with a soil drench for not for cane borers, but for the crown borer, and then cane borer you're going to spray right before they bloom. And you may not have to do much this year since they're brand new plants. They're not going to put a ton of growth on right off the bat, but might be surprised.
Yeah, because we're thinking about the Joan Jay.
Yeah, and they are
we talked about
really, really
yesterday.
nice berries. Yeah, the Joan Jays are amazing.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
So, and we should be getting raspberry plants in the probably the next week or 10 days. Since we get our plants locally, they're dealing with frozen soil and snow, just like everybody else in the valley is, and so they're probably a little bit behind what we would be normally. So.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right.
Thank you with that.
You're welcome, Todd.
Also, I want to ask Hank, what's the best type of bulb that he likes to plant?
Tulips.
Of course. What kind? what kind? What kind? Like what?
There are two
colors?
varieties: ice cream and ice cream banana. They look like
Really?
That's
fluffy.
new.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the ice cream banana.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Yeah.
There's a yellow one. You seen the ice cream?
I've seen ice cream. Yeah.
There's a yellow one, and there is a strawberry.
Ooh.
And raspberry. Talking about raspberries. Ice
Hank,
cream.
you're making me hungry.
So there's
No, but they don't look like a tulip, but they're real tulips, and just the way they grow, it looks like a bunch of tissue in it.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Yeah, they're really pretty.
The ice cream, huh?
Yeah. So if you can look it up online. There's going to be pictures there, but you say there's banana and strawberry
and raspberry, and there's one more. And
very cool. They came out
That would be awesome.
about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 years ago they came out, Todd, and they are really, really pretty.
That would be awesome, like in a lasagna kind of planting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The bottom is red, and the top is fluffy white.
Yeah.
Or yellow, or red, and
it really does kind of look like a little bowl of ice cream.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. So
vanilla ice
Well,
cream.
Hank's the bulb specialist, so
Yes.
I'll take his word for
yes,
it.
Yes, he is.
Well, I do appreciate it so much, guys. Thanks for answering my question, and it's good to have you back, Mark.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. We will talk soon.
You have a great weekend.
Okay.
Yep. And
Thanks,
I do
guys.
have a goodie bag for you too, Todd. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
since,
sir.
Since it is our 80th birthday, Anderson's, not me.
Well, I know that you're not 80, Mark. I know that. But well, happy birthday to the store. We'll
Thank
talk to
you.
soon.
Thank you so much, Todd. All right. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Do you want to squeeze another caller in, Bill?
Yes. We have Chris from Logan.
All right. Good morning, Chris. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're back.
Thank you.
You're so helpful. Okay, so I have this tree that died, and it was camouflaging this very dilapidated house next door. So now I look out my deck and I see this horrible house. What can I plant that will grow quickly to camouflage that ugly house?
How tall do you need it to get?
Quite a bit. I'd say maybe 10, 12 feet.
Okay. Do you want it to be evergreen so you don't have to see it like all year, or if it like drops its leaves, you'll be able to see a little bit through it? Are you thinking tree or shrub?
It needs to be a tree because it has to be tall.
It has to be taller. Okay, because I was thinking there's a form of arborvitae that's called green giant that grows 15 to 20 feet tall, and it's a fast grower, and it would give you that evergreen coverage, and you plant them about every 5 to 6 feet, and they'll grow in together like really quickly. So you could have a nice kind of thicker hedge that way, but they'll get 15 feet tall, and they grow about 3 feet a year. So they're quick growers, and so that could be a possibility. If you wanted a tree, something to shade that. Most of the fast growers get really big, so they get 50 to 60 feet tall eventually, and so they could be problematic over time. We don't want them to get gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorite trees the last couple of years, there's some gorgeous new varieties of crabapple that do not drop fruit. So the fruit is persistent, is what it's called, and so it produces fruit. It's very small. It's about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 inch in diameter at the biggest, but it stays on the tree. And so in the wintertime, birds will fly in and they'll eat the crab apples off of the tree. And so you don't have them drop all over the place in the fall, so you have to clean them all up. But they've got some gorgeous, gorgeous colors in the springtime, some really beautiful flower colors, like Profusion is one of my favorites. There's one that's called Indian Summer. That's beautiful. Royal Raindrops. It's got a cut, kind of a jagged leaf to it, but it's more of a burgundy colored leaf, so the foliage is really pretty. And they all max out about 20 feet or so don't get really, really tall. And then on Center Street, we planted, where they renovated Center Street, we planted a variety of cherry, but it's a flowering cherry, and it's called Pink Flare. Pink Flare is super hardy. It's a zone 3, and so most of your flowering cherries are not that hardy, and it has gorgeous big purplish pink blossoms on them, and no fruit. It never drops fruit on Center Street, and that would be a gorgeous tree too. It's a little more vase-shaped, so it's a little more narrow where the branches kind of start coming off the trunk, and then it kind of broadens out up on top, so a little bit more of a vase shape to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's a really, really pretty tree too.
Okay.
Flowers.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. That gives you a couple different options, and I do have some of my flowering trees in stock right now, as well as the fruit trees. The fruit trees are bare root, but the flowering trees I like to bring in as early as possible because then they come in while they're dormant and they don't bloom. So I'll have those blooming sometime in April if you want to take a look at those. So
okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, Chris. Any other questions?
No.
All right. And I do have a goodie bag for you, too.
Oh,
at the store.
thank you.
So stop in and I'll put your name on one.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, Bill, we are kind of at the bottom of the hour.
We are. So Kathy and another Lori, hang on. We'll be back.
We will be back.
Second half of the Garden Guide here on KVNU.
I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News update this hour. It's brought to you by UNI Furniture. Well, high-speed internet service is coming to currently isolated communities in Box Elder County, and the price tag for that improved connectivity will be nearly $9.5 million. Thursday afternoon, Governor Spencer Cox announced the award of $5.8 million of the state's $10 million broadband access grant to link rural households in Box Elder County via high-speed broadband fiber optic cable. Cox explained at a news conference at Sydney's restaurant in Manaway that broadband can turn any home into a hospital, can turn any home into a movie theater, and it can turn any home into a workplace. The number of households in Box Elder County impacted by the state grant will be about 2,400, according to Ryan Starks, who is the director of the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. Now, the communities gaining faster internet access will include Bear River City, Elwood, Howell, Manaway, Penrose, South Willard, Thatcher, and Willard. And investigators say the bodies of a man and a woman were found inside a home in Bluffdale as the bodies were located in a townhouse on Thursday afternoon. Sergeant Zach Bulgarian with the Saratoga Springs Police Department, which also covers Bluffdale, said family members of the deceased found the bodies after not hearing from the couple for the last several days. Neighbors said that the couple kept mostly to themselves, and police say that there was no safety risk to the public. Officials with the medical examiner's office took the bodies Thursday night to perform autopsies. Well, looking at temperatures through this weekend, staying right around the mid to low 40s during the day. Overnight temperatures are going to stay right around the mid 20s as we'll see a mix of sun with a few clouds to start off the weekend and a chance of some rain and snow to finish the weekend and then return to a mix of sun and clouds for the first of next week. I'm Will Feelwright for KVNU News.
From ABC Sports. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd, and several teams on the bubble for the Big Dance helped themselves out in a huge way. In the ACC tournament semifinal, Virginia Tech's Darius Maddox continued to stay hot.
Maddox is Maddox on him. Steps into a three. You betcha.
Boy, Darius Maddox. What a shot.
The call on Learfield, Maddox followed up a buzzer-beater 3 against Clemson 2 nights ago with a 20-point effort off the bench against North Carolina. The Hokies' defense held UNC to just 3 of 26 from three-point land en route to a 72-59 win. Virginia Tech will face Duke in its first-ever ACC championship game. Earlier in the SEC, Texas A&M proved they still have some fight left in them.
To Radford, curls, down the left lane line, stops, left elbow jumper, pure!
On Learfield, behind Tyrese Radford's 19 points, the Aggies knocked off top-seeded Auburn 67-62 to advance to the SEC semifinals. This is ABC.
More big news from JBS in Hiram, where they're offering up to $5,000 in sign-on bonuses. Plus, they just raised their hourly rate to $20 an hour. Come join the JBS family and be a part of the excitement. Up to $5,000 in bonuses, plus $20 an hour, and the Better Futures program, where you and your dependents can get a college education absolutely free. The job opportunities are tremendous at JBS USA. Come apply in person at any time on the west side of JBS. Equal opportunity employer.
Dr. Eric Lund is a local orthodontist and relies on the Cache Valley Media Group to help spread the word to the folks of Cache Valley.
I had one simple message that I wanted to get out, and the radio is the only way to do it if you live here. It's the best.
Anything surprise you about being on the radio?
Honestly, it was the amount of people that responded to the radio ad.
Visit CacheValleyMediaGroup.com or call 752-1390.
It's a professional, good experience.
Helping you grow your business. Cache Valley Media Group. Helping your business grow.
The Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
And it's the first show of the new season for the Garden Guide, so let's return to Mark and his guest.
And we're excited to be back for the season, and the Garden Guide every week, Saturday mornings, 8 o'clock. Tell your friends. We try and answer as many questions as possible, and we always have a little something exciting to share. We've got a guest today. Hank Stufbergen with Stufbergen Bulbs is here to talk about bulbs. So if you have questions about flowering bulbs for summer or your spring flowering bulbs that are just kind of starting to peek out of the ground right now, we are here to answer your questions for you. We've been talking about all the bare root plants that are coming in at Anderson's. Great time to start thinking about fertilizing your lawn, and it's also early planting season. So as soon as this cold snap is gone and things dry out and we can get out and work our soil, we can get all of our early vegetables in. So we're talking peas, spinach, lettuce, radishes, onions, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, kale. Those could all be planted as soon as your soil is workable. Normally we tell people, 1st of March would be good to plant that. But this year, having single-digit temperatures in the last couple of days, that would have killed your onion plants, unfortunately. They're usually good down to about mid-teens. And normally in March, we don't get anything colder than mid-teens at night. But this year we have. So unfortunately, if you planted your onions, you may be planting them again. But if you planted pea seeds a couple weeks ago, they're probably still sitting there in the ground waiting to come up, and they'll probably be just fine. So if you'd like to join us on the show, phone numbers are 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. So we had a couple callers who waited through the break for us.
Three now waiting. First up, we have Kathy from Dayton.
Good morning, Kathy. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning. It's good to have you back. We've missed you in that cold weather.
Oh, thank you so much.
Is it too late for me to prune my peach tree?
It is prime time for pruning. So we did all my dad's fruit trees except for 2 weeks ago. And it worked out. I guess it wasn't quite 2 weeks ago. It was a week ago this past Thursday. And it worked out great. And so the weather was nice. The sun was out, and it was nice and warm. And we pruned. But you've really got until the blossoms come out to prune, and you could even prune it after it's done blooming if you had to. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Just remember with the peach trees that they produce flowers on last year's growth. And so when you're pruning the peach trees, you want to be a little bit aggressive to take out some of the older growth, but you always want to encourage new growth because that's where your fruit production is going to be the next year. And so you want to leave some of that growth from last year because that's where your fruit production is going to be this year, and then you selectively start taking some of that out after it's fruited to encourage some new growth that's going to produce the next season as well too. I do have some amazing peaches at the store if you need to add to your collection. So
I would always like to add peach trees.
I know.
Okay. Next question. We had our backyard, parts of it torn up last year, and we reseeded it. Some of it didn't grow. How soon can I put seed out there again?
Great question. Your fescues and rye can handle the cold better than the bluegrasses. And so you can probably plant those in the next couple weeks. Definitely, I like to wait until the leaves start popping out on the trees. That's a great indication that the soil is warm enough for the seed to start to germinate. But those will germinate in cooler temperatures than your bluegrass will. So the bluegrass, you plant it in the next couple of weeks, it'll sit there for 3 weeks before it even starts to germinate. So it may take 4 or 5 weeks for it to even come up. But the rye and the fescues will come up a little bit quicker, and they can handle some colder spring temperatures and soil temperatures for sure.
Okie doke. Okay. I know it's kind of chilly, but I was thinking maybe with the snow coming in, I could plant them now.
Your target time really is around the 1st of April.
Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes the leaves come out a little bit earlier, and sometimes they come up a little bit later. But last year was about the 20th of April when we finally had leaves and flowers on the trees. Stuff was slow coming out last year, even though we didn't get much moisture. It wasn't really a warm spring. It was kind of a cold one. So.
Funny, that's how I feel about this spring.
Yeah. Start off really cold, but one extreme follows the next. So be prepared. We could have some really nice weather coming up in the next couple of weeks. So. We'll see how that works.
All right. Thanks so much, Mark. Have a good day.
You are welcome, Kathy. And for holding on the line for so long, I've got a goodie bag for you at the store, too. So, like I said, about a dozen different varieties of flower and vegetable seeds. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And thanks for calling in today.
Thanks.
You're so welcome. Bye, Kathy. Okay, who's up next, Bill?
And we're loaded up again. Right. We have Lori, another Lori from Richmond.
All right. Good morning, Lori. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hi. I have 2 questions. One of them is my tulips on my south side of my house have come up, and they're about 6 inches tall. However, in the fall or in the spring or whatever, I just don't have time to dig up all my tulips because I have so many.
Yes.
And replant them and such. So these tulips have maybe 20 leaves coming up, and I know that diminishes the size of the bloom and the plant and everything. Is it okay to say right now just sort of loosen the soil and pull out the little ones that I know aren't going to bloom? Will that help or will it hinder?
What do you think?
Hinder. Those are tulips you're talking about, or daffodils?
Tulips.
Tulips. Probably had a very warm summer here.
Yeah.
And that caused it.
Yeah, really hot summer.
Yeah, hot summer, and that caused the spreading of the leaves. And
so you get like little bulblets that come off of them.
So you can pull them apart, or leave them along and dig them up in the spring and then spread them out. Yeah. Would be better.
So after they're done.
Won't it ruin them to say, I just am afraid that if I go down there and loosen it up, I'll ruin the one that's going to bloom.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything at the moment. After they're done blooming and the foliage died off, dig them up and then spread them out.
Yeah. What about fertilizing?
Okay, I'll wait till after.
Can she fertilize them right now too?
She can.
Yeah. So now's a really good time to fertilize them.
Yeah, I usually throw in bulb fertilizer too.
Excellent.
And don't worry about the cold weather. They can handle it.
They like it. Yeah.
I won't worry about it except I don't want to be in it.
I know. That's the way I feel too. I'm just like going, Arizona sounds kind of
really
nice right now.
Yeah. I have one more question. I have some poinsettias that I've had around for like 5 years, and they're just getting bigger and bigger. And they bloom beautifully in the winter. But this year, the one did not bloom. And I'm wondering, do they do every other year, or do they just wear out?
It's a light thing. Yeah. So you got to give them the right amount of light to get them to color up, and usually you got to make sure they're in like total darkness.
Is she talking about the foliage?
Yeah, the foliage. The foliage. Yeah.
Everybody calls it flowers.
Yes, but it's the bracts that actually color up. Yeah, that's the bracts that.
Well, it's red foliage.
Yeah.
Usually you have to shade it too in the wintertime, so many hours because there's an.
To get them to color.
Yeah.
It's usually you want to do about. I think it's about 10 hours of total darkness.
12.
Okay, that's 12? Kind of what I do. 12, I have them in my living room, and we don't use that room very much.
All right. So Hank's saying 12 of light and 12 of total darkness.
All the commercial greenhouses, they use shade always, and then 5 o'clock they put the shade on. And then 5 o'clock in the morning, they take it off.
Take it off.
It's more than 12 hours.
So 12 and 12. Yeah, 12 and 12.
Okay,
and the darker when it's dark, better. Yeah. So you don't want like any light for them. So.
Yeah. Well, the one has been blooming like crazy every year. It's just beautiful, big ball of red. the other one just decided he didn't want to bloom this year.
I think sometimes
now.
I think sometimes it's kind of like Christmas cactus, and sometimes they cooperate and sometimes they don't.
Depends on which variety.
Yeah, it depends on the variety, and sometimes they just kind of go, I don't think I'm going to bloom this year. Thanks for the thanks for the care anyway.
That's how I feel. So they're beautiful when they bloom.
Oh,
it's
they are. They're
big ball of flowers.
So pretty, so pretty.
So pretty.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. And Laura, if you stop in the store next couple of days, I will have a goodie bag for you. So since we are celebrating our 80th birthday, so you get goodie bags when you go for a birthday party, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to plan something.
I'll bring cake.
Yeah, we're trying to plan something fun for like our spring open house. Can we kind of make it like a birthday party? Would be really fun. So
fun.
Yeah, we'll do something like that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling this morning. All right. Have a good one. All right. Bill, who is up next?
We have Claudia from Logan.
Good morning, Claudia. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning, Mark and company. I've got a strawberry question. Is that okay?
That is wonderful. I should have strawberries in. I was thinking they were going to show up yesterday, but they didn't. So probably the first part of the week I'll have strawberry plants in.
All right, very good. Well, here's my situation. As you know, I've got a beautiful permanent raised beds, and the strawberries have looked gorgeous in those beds. However, after the first 2 years, this past year was not a good production year. So someone told me that you have to take them all out. Is that right? And replant.
Over time, time they kind of get overgrown and crowded, and so it's best if you can take them out about every 3 or 4 years and just kind of replace them. You can rejuvenate the soil a little bit. So.
And make sure you eliminate the flowers the first year.
Yeah,
that gives you a bumper crop the second year.
Yeah. That makes them produce a lot better. So even if you're planting ever-bearing variety, they're going to put some flowers out the first year. Like Hank said, just take those flowers off, and then the second year they'll go crazy for you. So.
Okay.
But it is a good idea to pull those older plants out because they're going to stop being as productive, and get rid of those, and then put new ones in, and all of a sudden they'll go crazy again for you.
Okay, and have you got a recommendation of what to do to the soil then?
So
as long as I'm pulling out plants.
Yep. So while you're pulling those plants out, a nice. It depends on how much soil you have in your raised beds, because sometimes over a couple of years the soil will kind of compact a little bit, but it'll also lose a little bit of volume just because you got a lot of organic matter in there, and so you'll lose a little bit of volume. So if you need to add some volume, I would do our soil building conditioner. It's a finely ground redwood bark. It's been composted with poultry manure and bat guano and worm castings and kelp meal, and half an inch to an inch of that. Spread over the top and then kind of worked into the soil would be wonderful. If your soil is pretty full and you don't need to add a lot of volume to it, then I would use a product that we've got that's called Garden Max. And the Garden Max, you don't have to put as much in. We're only talking, a quarter of an inch, maybe a half inch of that. And it's amazing. It's got so much good nutritional value in there. It just really builds your soil back up, recharges your raised beds. So the Garden Max would be excellent if you don't need to add too much volume to it. So
my dad used to have 5 acres of strawberries, and we had to put always straw on it. So the berries would be much greener.
You always wonder why they were called strawberries, right?
That's because you mulched them with straw.
Yeah.
That's what they did. 5 acres of strawberries. Yeah. That's a lot of strawberries.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
the second day you don't want to eat them anymore. You get home, you get a sandwich with strawberries.
You're like, I've had enough strawberries for. So when you were younger, you were out digging you were out digging in the dirt all the time with strawberries. So that's a lot. That's a lot of strawberries. So, all right. Any other questions, Claudia?
Thank you so much. No, I'm good.
You are so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning. And anytime you want to rejuvenate those beds, I will have strawberry plants coming in almost on a every 2-week basis, bare root ones, until about the 1st of May. And then we also have a lot of already growing ones as well too. But they're only $9 for 25 plants in the bare root, so it's a really great way to go. So,
all right, we'll see you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Claudia.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Bill, who is up next?
And going down the list here, we have Christine from Smithfield.
Good morning, Christine. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Oh, hi, Mark. It looks like we're going to
have a lot of fun from what you've been talking about.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. I just want warmer temperatures than what we've had to endure this week. So
I know, but we need the snow and the moisture too.
we do need the snow and the moisture. I'll take rain right now.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be coming
for down here. So snow in the mountains, rain down here in March is just right. So no more.
I heard you talk about boars and raspberries.
Yes.
How to start? Well, first I should ask, do I prune them and cut back what I need and then come in and get the stuff that for the boars, or what would I need?
What kind of raspberries do you have? Do you know?
They're supposed to bloom twice a year, but
okay, so they're everbearing. So there's two different ways you can prune the everbearing. So you can cut them all just like right down to the ground and leave about 2 inches of cane left, and you'll get all new growth that comes up, and then they'll produce really heavily for you in the fall, but no production in the middle of the summer. Otherwise, if you want a summer crop and a fall crop, what you want to do is right now trim them down to about 2.5 to 3 feet and just take the tops off, fertilize them. Excuse me. Either way, whichever way you prune, you want to fertilize. Go ahead and prune and then fertilize right afterwards. So a higher nitrogen fertilizer with some iron would be really good. So I like Iron Plus from High Yield because it's got a nice iron. It's got a nice ammonium sulfate nitrogen fertilizer, and the sulfur is really good for the raspberries as well too, and it has iron in there as well. But prune those down to about 2.5 or 3 feet and fertilize, and then after they produce their summer crop, the canes that have fruited, you're going to cut those right down to the ground and get rid of them, and that's the best way to prune those everbearing. For the boar, you want to watch for the blossoms starting to form, and so timing is kind of critical on controlling those cane borers. And you want to spray them with permethrin or any type of borer control that is safe for edibles, but the permethrin seems to work the best right before they bloom, and then again about 2 or 3 weeks later after they're done blooming.
Because I know they had it last year.
Yes, and they'll probably be back again.
So is it too late to cut them clear 2 or 3 inches off the ground?
No. This is a great time to do it. I don't like to do too much pruning in the fall because then you have to just do it again in the spring.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Yeah, so I don't do too much in the fall. If they're really tall and they might get broken by a lot of snow, then I'll do something with them. But normally I'll prune them in the spring. Now's a great time. Excellent time to do that.
They're probably maybe 4 feet tall now.
Yeah, so cut them down about, cut them down a third. Take a third of them off, and then where they bush out and produce new growth off those older canes, that's where they're going to produce all their fruit this summer.
Third.
Yep, so take off about a third.
Third off, OFF, and then I come in and get the stuff when they start to put.
Yep, when they look like they're going to bloom, and it's usually around the first or middle part of May, we're going to spray them, and then again right after they're done blooming, and that's when the adult borers are out laying their eggs, and we can get those under control before they enter into the canes and do some damage.
So cut a third off and throw those away.
Yes.
And then I need to lay my soaker hoses in so I can get them watered good.
Yes.
And then...
And a little fertilizer.
A little fertilizer when I cut them off?
You got it.
Okay. I'm trying to write things down.
And then I like to fertilize again after you pick in the summer. So every time you prune them, you want to fertilize them.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll talk more about that when we get there.
All right, that sounds good. Sounds great, Christine.
Okay, thank you for
You
your
are
help.
so welcome, and I'll have a goodie bag for you, too.
Okay, thank you very much.
You are so welcome. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we got time for a couple more calls, maybe one more.
And a friend of the program is next up. That's Gordon.
All right. Good morning, Gordon.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Doing great. How about you?
Well, good. I used to think that you were the harbinger of spring with your first show, but it dawned on me that you're the harbinger of daylight savings time.
That too. We were gonna start the show last week, and I saw the weather, and I was just like, no, we're not doing it this week. No.
Nobody was thinking gardening last week.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's been brutal, but we've got some nice weather coming, and it's seriously lots of spring fever at the store. Everybody's coming in; they're excited about getting their seeds, they're excited about getting their plants, and they just want to get outside and do some planting. So,
yeah, I was actually going to throw my humates down on the ice slab that was my backyard, and then when they said it was going to snow again, I thought, I think I'll wait so that dark-colored stuff's laying on the top, not buried by a couple of inches of snow.
So this weekend's perfect time to get the humate on there.
Yep.
And then it'll be
that sure works to take out the stubborn snow piles. That's a great way to go.
It does, and then it really greens your lawn up too underneath. So by the end of this month, your lawn will be gorgeous, and all that beneficial biology that's in there really helps throughout the season. So it helps with water absorption and retention. It frees up the nutrient, makes it available to your plants. So a great way to start the season off with a humate application. So.
Yep. Okay, I got a question for Hank. Several years ago, I did what he advised and did the lasagna method of planting some bulbs where they come up at different times, that kind of in the same spot. But and they've been beautiful, but they've been sorely neglected for the last couple of years. What kind of regular maintenance should I kind of be doing on a bulb bed like that?
Well, you take the flowers off when they're done blooming and let the flowers die back. And after a few years, you have to bring them up and split them up. Otherwise,
so you have to dig
in competition for the space.
Bulbs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, there will be in competition for the space. And they don't bloom.
Okay.
Yeah. So what? 3 years? Maybe every 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably about this year, I would think. I think it was about 3 years ago that I did it.
Yeah.
After hearing you on the program.
Yep. And when you dig those up, you can kind of recondition the soil. You can add some nice compost to it, and definitely fertilize. I mean, they use up all that fertilizer that's out there.
And if you want some new varieties in it, you can get them at Mark's place.
Yes, and plant some new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different colors.
So what kind of fertilizer do I use on bulbs?
A nice balanced fertilizer, like a Dutch bulb food, would be good. And something with like a little slow release nitrogen.
Yeah, slow.
Yeah, we want slow release nitrogen. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have options for you, Gordon.
Well, good. I'm coming in this week. I'll visit with you, and we'll see what we need to get.
Personally, I love the Natural Guard bulb food. It's got all the beneficial microbes and mycorrhiza and archaea in there, so it helps digest the nutrient for the plants, and it brings it to them. So it's really, really good stuff. So.
Okay. Well, we love having them blooming at the various different times. It's nice to not have a spot where it comes up and then there's no color the rest of the summer.
So. I was talking to a customer yesterday, in fact, and they're doing a really big planting. It's about 400 square feet, and so I was telling them to we're going to put 600 or 800 bulbs in there and make it look really nice. And they were contemplating which ones to do, and I was like, well, let's do a early and a mid-season and a late. We'll kind of split it up between them, and then you can have color for like 6 weeks instead of, if you plant all the same one. It's gorgeous to have them all bloom at the same time, but then they're done in like 10 days, and it's nice to have them go a little bit longer. So works great.
Yep. Okay, better let's go so you can get the last caller in. So.
Awesome.
Good to talk to you guys.
Thanks, Gordon. Have a good one. Do we have another caller,
Bill? We don't have any callers. We did have Farmer Jason had sent me a text from the south side of Cache County wanting to know about hairy vetch. Is it too late to plant hairy vetch in a garden for soil conditioning, I guess?
Yes. So the hairy vetch, and there's a lot of other green manure crops you can plant in there to let them grow and then work back into the soil to build the soil up. Vetch will germinate at cooler soil temperatures, so probably in the next couple of weeks you could plant that. Usually you don't want to plant it too much in the fall because it really gets aggressive and it's hard to get rid of it afterwards because it really gets an aggressive root system as well as an aggressive vine on the top. So it's one that we don't like to let grow too aggressively before you cut it down and till it back into the soil. So probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks would be a great time to plant the hairy vetch. So, yeah, great time.
All right, very good.
Yeah. And the show's just about over. So, first show, Bill, thanks so much for your help.
Sure.
You've been wonderful. Hank,
happy to be here.
Thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome.
A lot of questions on bulbs today,
Yeah.
so that was great timing for you to show up and be able to answer some excellent questions. So thanks for being here, and thank you to everyone who is listening to the show today. Don't forget that we have the Home and Garden Show coming up on the 25th and 26th of March at the Eccles Ice Arena, and we'll be there. We're sponsoring the show again this year, and don't forget it's also our 80th birthday this year, so we're going to be celebrating all year long 80th birthday of Anderson Seed and Garden. Fruit trees are here. All kinds of bare root plants are coming. It's a lot of fun going on at Anderson Seed, and all of our seeds are rolling in, so we're ready for you. New crews trained, got a lot of experienced people there to answer your questions, and of course Ronette and I will always be there to help answer questions and help you be successful in your garden. So thanks for listening to the show. We'll be back again next week with another edition of the Garden Guide.
News Talk KVNU, Logan, the voice of Northern Utah, 610 AM and 102.1